The armored convoy crawled cautiously through the narrow canyon on the desert world of Caris Secundus. Inside the second vehicle, Corporal Ryan Carter kept his pulse rifle at the ready, eyes never leaving the alien delegation. This was meant to be a simple diplomatic escort, but Ryan had learned long ago that simple and peaceful rarely belonged in the same sentence when humans and Valari were involved. Seated among the passengers was Empress Solara, sovereign of the Valari Concord. The Valari were strikingly alien, tall, willowy beings whose skin shimmered like living opal, refracting light into soft auroras with every breath. Empress Solara sat perfectly upright, regal and motionless, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the harsh twin suns outside. Ryan had only been pulled onto this detail 12 hours earlier when another Marine fell ill. He spoke none of their language, knew none of their customs, and never imagined he would be this close to the ruler of a species humanity had been fighting for 4 long years. 6 Valari royal guardians ringed their empress like living statues. Each stood nearly 8 feet tall, their natural crystalline armor fused seamlessly with their bodies. Ryan had heard the legends. Valari guardians were supposed to be the deadliest warriors in known space, sworn to die before allowing harm to come to their sovereign. The canyon was unnaturally still. Too still. Ryan's instincts screamed ambush long before the first explosion tore the lead vehicle apart in a fireball that painted the red rocks orange. The blast wave rocked their transport. Ryan slammed into the bulkhead as the driver swerved violently. Through the viewport he saw armed figures rappelling down the cliff faces, void reavers, the scum of the galaxy who sold their guns to anyone with credits. Someone was already yelling over comms, all units defensive positions now. The rear hatch blew open. Smoke poured in. Ryan surged forward toward the Empress, but her guardians had already formed an unbreakable wall of bodies around her. Then the second missile struck. Their vehicle flipped, metal shrieking as it rolled. Ryan was airborne for a heartbeat before everything went black. When the world snapped back into focus, he was sprawled on the canyon floor beside the burning wreck, ears ringing, heat baking his armor. He forced himself upright. Survivors. He had to find survivors. He saw the Valari Guardians emerging from the twisted transport, carrying Empress Solara between them. Relief hit him hard. She was alive. Then the next wave of reavers descended. 30, maybe 40. A rocket screamed down and detonated among the Guardians, hurling them apart like broken glass. The Empress hit the ground hard, glowing blood seeping from a wound in her side. The Guardians staggered to their feet, looked at the approaching reavers, looked at their fallen sovereign, and one by one, they turned and ran. The legendary royal guardians of the Valari Concord, warriors who swore on their lives to protect their empress, fled into the canyon to save themselves. Ryan stood frozen in disbelief. Empress Solara pushed herself up on one arm, rainbow eyes wide with shock as she watched her own protectors abandon her. Then she looked toward the reavers closing in and knew death was coming. Ryan didn't think. His body simply moved. He sprinted toward her, boots pounding across broken stone. Energy bolts exploded around his feet. He reached her just as the first reaver rounded a boulder. Without hesitation, Ryan threw himself between the Empress and the enemy, rifle up. "Get down!" he roared, unsure if she even understood basic. He fired. The first reaver dropped. More poured in behind. Ryan knew the math was brutal. 40-plus rounds left, 40-plus enemies, no cover, no backup. But Corporal Ryan Carter had taken an oath the day he put on the uniform. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. It didn't come with an asterisk that said, "Only humans." Empress Solara stared up at the human shielding her with his body. Her own guardians had fled. This soldier from the species she had warred against for 4 years had stayed. Something ancient and profound shifted in that moment, something that would echo across stars and rewrite history. More reavers advanced from 3 directions. Ryan glanced at his ammo counter. 38 rounds. He wasn't going to win. He only had to buy her time. Maybe a quick reaction force would arrive. Maybe. It was enough. He fired controlled bursts, dropping target after target. The reavers grew cautious, using boulders for cover. Behind him, the Empress struggled to rise despite her wound. "Can you walk?" Ryan shouted over the gunfire. To his shock, she answered in accented but clear basic. Yes. I can walk. Good. Large rock cluster. 2 o'clock. We move on my mark. She nodded. Ryan laid down rapid fire, forcing heads down, then grabbed her arm. They ran. A bolt seared across his shoulder plate, pain flaring white-hot, but he kept moving. They dove behind the rocks as the air where they'd stood turned to plasma. Ryan slammed a fresh magazine home. 24 rounds left, 1 spare after this. This was going to be short and ugly, but at least he wouldn't die alone, and at least he'd die doing what he swore he would. He popped up, fired twice, dropped 2 more reavers. Behind him, the Empress sat with her back to the stone, pressing a glowing hand to her side wound. Her eyes, liquid prisms that caught light in ways human eyes never could, were fixed on him. You are bleeding, Ryan said, nodding at her injury while scanning for threats. He yanked a pressure bandage from his kit. This'll hurt. He slapped it on. She hissed but held still, luminescent blood soaking through instantly. The bandage held. Why? She asked suddenly, voice like wind through glass chimes. Why stay? You are human. I am your enemy. Ryan tied off the bandage and met her gaze. Because it was the right thing to do. Your guardians may have forgotten their oaths. I haven't forgotten mine. Your oath is not to me. My oath is to anyone who needs protecting and can't fight back, he said, snapping off another shot as a reaver tried to flank. Besides, if I keep you alive, maybe this damn war finally ends. You're the Empress. You can make that happen. Something flickered across her crystalline face, too complex for human expressions, but Ryan thought it might be wonder. The reavers resumed their assault. Bolts chipped stone around them. Ryan returned fire, counting every round. They were trying to encircle. We can't stay, he said. They'll flank us. Then we die, she replied with calm that chilled him. Not today. He pulled his sidearm and pressed it into her hands. Point at the bad guys. Pull trigger. It's simple. Her delicate fingers closed around the grip like it was alien technology. I am a ruler, not a soldier. Today you're both. He checked his rifle. 14 rounds. Listen carefully. I'm going to draw their fire. When every gun is on me, you run for that boulder field at your 9 o'clock. Rescue will come from that direction. You'll make it. You will not. Probably not. But you will. That's what matters. She stared at him for a long moment, rainbows dancing in her eyes. I do not understand your species. Most of us don't either, Ryan said with a grim smile. Ready. 1, 2. Wait. She reached out, cool fingers brushing his armored chest above his heart. Thank you, Ryan Carter. My people will remember this day. Make sure they remember it for a long time. Now go. He vaulted over the rock, rifle barking. Every reaver swung toward him. He ran sideways, firing, drawing every eye, every weapon. Behind him he heard the light patter of her feet on stone. Good. She was moving. He dove behind a slab of fallen rock as bolts scorched the air. Empty magazine. Last one in. 15 rounds. 15 rounds between him and the void. He risked a glance. The Empress had almost reached the boulders. Then salvation roared overhead, human gunships, late but not too late. The reavers scattered under withering fire from above, and a Marine rapid response team hitting the canyon floor. 8 reavers broke off, charging the Empress's position. She popped up, fired the pistol Ryan had given her. Shots went wide, but she was fighting. Ryan felt a fierce surge of pride. Then a miracle dropped from the cliffs above like judgment itself. A massive Valari guardian, Korath, the one Ryan remembered from the convoy, slammed into the reaver squad with meteoric force. Crystalline fists shattered armor and bone. He carved a path straight to the Empress in seconds, standing over her like an avenging titan. Ryan used the chaos to sprint forward. Human Marines were pushing the main force back now. He reached the boulders as Korath gently lifted the Empress. Shame radiated from the Guardian like heat. My Empress, Korath rumbled in heavily accented basic. I failed you once. Never again. Solara looked at him, emotions warring across her face. Rage, grief, forgiveness. An explosion nearby cut off whatever she might have said. Touching, Ryan panted. But we need to move. Now. Korath nodded once, cradling the Empress like she weighed nothing. Ryan took point, rifle up. Together they pushed toward the human lines. One by one the other Guardians emerged from hiding, forming a protective ring once more. Ryan was too exhausted to be angry. They were here now. That was enough. Aboard the human battlecruiser Resolute, the medbay struggled to accommodate Valari physiology, but the doctors did their best. Empress Solara sat on an exam table while Chief Medical Officer Lena Reyes scanned her wounds. Ryan stood at the door, rifle slung but ready, officially assigned as her personal protector, an arrangement that had every admiral from here to Seoul scratching their heads. The Empress had refused treatment, food, even speech until Ryan was brought to her. Command had caved. Healing nicely, Dr. Reyes announced. Your species recovers fast, Your Majesty. Solara inclined her head but never took her eyes off Ryan. Finally she dismissed the doctor with a regal gesture. The door hissed shut. The silence stretched. This is going to cause problems, Ryan said, breaking it first. Me guarding you alone. Your guardians are furious. My chain of command thinks you've brainwashed me. Politicians on both sides are having kittens. Let them, Solara replied. Her basic had improved dramatically in hours. Valari learned languages at terrifying speed. They do not yet comprehend what occurred in that canyon. What did occur? Ryan asked. I mean, I was there, but your guardians. Everything I ever heard said they'd die first. Propaganda, she said bitterly, rising to gaze out at the stars. Stories we tell ourselves to feel noble. The truth is uglier. 4 years of war with humanity taught my warriors terror. You do not surrender. You do not break. Every time we shatter a fleet you build 3 more. Every world we burn, you fight harder. We are taught honor demands we fight, but wisdom demands we survive to fight again. When my guardians believed death certain, they chose survival. They abandoned you. Yes, she whispered, pain raw. And in doing so broke the most sacred vow a guardian can make. But they fled because humans are unpredictable. Reckless. You throw lives away for ideals we cannot comprehend, like shielding an enemy Empress. Exactly like that, she added softly, stepping close enough that Ryan saw entire galaxies of color shifting beneath her skin. You had no obligation to me. Every instinct should have sent you running. Instead you stayed. You fought. You offered your life for mine. I'm not special, Ryan said, shifting uncomfortably. Any decent Marine would've. No, she cut in firmly. Korath watched from the cliffs before returning. He saw you choose to stand when you could have fled. You stayed not from duty. You had already exceeded duty. You stayed because your heart would not allow you to leave me. That, Ryan Carter, is what my people fear and what we lost long ago. You fight with something we forgot, the refusal to abandon what is right, even when logic screams to run. She placed her cool palm over his heart. This is why we should have sought peace years ago. Ryan swallowed. So what happens now? Now. A sad, luminous smile. Now I owe a life debt that binds not just 2 souls but 2 civilizations. When I stand before the Concord Assembly and recount how a human stood while Valari fled, everything changes. You will become legend, the human who reminded us what honor truly means. I don't want to be a legend, Ryan muttered. I just want to go home. I know, she said gently. But legends rarely get to choose, Ryan Carter. You made a choice in that canyon. Now both our peoples will live with the consequences. She returned to the table, suddenly looking small and weary. Tell me of Terra, she said quietly. Tell me of your oceans and mountains and the places you miss. So he did. As the Resolute streaked toward the Valari homeworld, a human corporal and an alien Empress talked. Of home, of hope, of the fragile possibility that 4 years of slaughter might finally end. Outside the medbay, Korath stood shoulder to shoulder with human Marines, silent proof that everything had already begun to change. The Valari capital world of Luminar hung before them like a faceted sapphire, cities grown from living crystal rather than built. Ryan stood on the Resolute's observation deck, trying to accept that he was about to set foot on a planet that had been humanity's enemy for 4 years. Nervous? Captain Elena Vasquez asked, joining him. Terrified, Ryan admitted. I'm about to walk into an alien senate as their guest of honor because I didn't run away. How did my life get this weird? You did the right thing at the right moment, she said. Sometimes that's all it takes to move galaxies. Command had offered him an out. Refuse the invitation, go home, no one would blame him. Ryan had refused. If his actions could end the war, he had to try. The Grand Assembly Chamber was a cathedral of light, walls of living prism amplifying every voice, every gesture. Hundreds of Valari nobles filled the tiers, their eyes like scattered stars. At the center rose 8 crystalline thrones for the Concord Assembly and the Empress. Ryan stood at Solara's side as she addressed them in flowing Valari, translators feeding Ryan every word. My people, she began, voice carrying like bells. For days ago I nearly died on Caris Secundus. Ambush destroyed my convoy. In the moment of greatest peril, my guardians, sworn to defend me with their lives, chose survival over duty and fled. Gasps and murmurs rippled outward. Shame bowed the heads of Karath and the others. But one warrior did not run, Solara continued. A human marine, Corporal Ryan Carter, placed himself between me and death. He had no oath to me, every reason to save himself. Yet he stayed. He fought. He was prepared to die so that an enemy sovereign might live. She turned to Ryan, pride blazing in her prismatic eyes. This human reminded us what true honor is. Not survival at all costs, but doing what is right even when it costs everything. I stand before you today because of Ryan Carter's courage. And I say to you, if a human can protect a life not his own, then we can end this war. We can choose peace not because it is easy, but because it is right. An ancient elder rose, his form clouded with age. You ask much, Empress. Humanity has cost us dearly. And we have cost humanity dearly, she countered. Continued war brings only graves. I propose immediate ceasefire. I propose direct talks with Terra. And I propose Corporal Ryan Carter serve as the living bridge between our peoples. He has proven himself worthy beyond question. The debate raged for hours. Ryan stood silent while nobles argued his motives, his honor, his very humanity. Exhausting, surreal, but he endured. At sunset, rainbow light poured through the crystal dome as the eldest spoke the verdict. We accept Empress Solara's proposal. Let the Valari Concord extend peace to humanity this day. Let Corporal Ryan Carter stand as the bond between our species. Let us learn to see one another as he and our Empress have learned. The chamber erupted, some in joy, some in anger, but the decision held. Solara's hand settled on Ryan's shoulder. Luminous tears traced down her face. You did it, she whispered. You saved more than my life in that canyon. You saved us all. In the year that followed, Ryan Carter became the most unlikely diplomat in galactic history. He shuttled between Earth and Luminar carrying messages, building trust, translating not just words but hearts. Treaties were signed. Borders drawn. Trade flowed. Slowly, painfully, 2 species that had tried to annihilate each other learned to share the same stars. Karath became his constant shadow, repaying shame with unbreakable loyalty. Human commanders learned the Valari would listen to Ryan when they ignored admirals. Valari nobles learned the human who stayed was honest, fair, and tireless. There were setbacks. Old hatreds flared. Incidents threatened everything. In those dark moments Ryan remembered the canyon, remembered choosing to stand when running would have been easier. One person, one choice, could still matter. Empress Solara was always there, no longer just an ally but a true friend. They spoke late into many nights, sharing fears and dreams across the gulf of species. Do you ever regret it? She asked once, beneath a tree of liquid light blossoms. Do you ever wish you'd run? He thought of the simple life he'd left, the weight now on his shoulders, the sleepless nights. No, he said finally. If what we're building means kids on both worlds grow up without this war, it was worth every second. She smiled, radiant as a nova. Then I have news. The Concord and Earth have agreed. You will be formally named Ambassador of Peace, with authority from both governments. I'm just a corporal. You are the reason the shooting stopped, she said simply. We need you, Ryan. Both our peoples need you. 2 years to the day after the ambush, Ryan stood again on the Resolute's observation deck, gazing down at Luminar, this time as a world at peace. Trade ships plied the lanes. Students crossed between worlds. Scientists collaborated. The war was a scar, not a wound. Deep thoughts. Solara asked, joining him. Just wondering how a grunt like me ended up here. You were never just a grunt, she said gently. You were the moment the galaxy chose courage over fear. She turned to him. My people tell stories about you now. Children learn your name beside our greatest heroes. They call you the human who stood. Ryan flushed. That's embarrassing. That is truth, she corrected. And truth has a way of finding those who shape it. Later, at the joint memorial in Luminar's capital, a towering sculpture of human steel woven with Valari crystal, each supporting the other, thousands gathered. Human and Valari stood together, weeping for the dead, rejoicing for the living. Solara spoke last. This monument is for all we lost. But it is also for what we gained, understanding, friendship, peace. We owe that to the human who refused to run when running would have been easier. She gestured Ryan forward. He wanted to sink into the ground, but Karatha's gentle nudge sent him to the front. The crowd, human and Valari, roared approval until the crystal city itself seemed to sing. Afterward, beneath an alien sunset that painted the sky in colors no human eye had evolved to see, Ryan and Solara sat in silence, watching families from 2 worlds move together through the park. One choice, Ryan murmured. One moment, and everything changed. Terrifying, isn't it? She replied. How much can rest on a single heart? And beautiful, he added. Because it means any one of us can make a difference. We don't need rank or power. Just the courage to stand when it matters. She rested her cool hand on his. Then keep standing, Ryan Carter. The galaxy still needs heroes who refuse to look away. He smiled. I'm not going anywhere. Got friends to keep me honest. Korath loomed behind them. Shuttle is ready, Ambassador. Ryan rose, stretching tired muscles that carried the weight of peace. Let's go home, he said. Solara stood beside him, luminous in the dying light. Yes, she agreed softly. Let's go home.